Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, let's learn how to create a NumPy array and fill it with NaN values. Before getting started, let's see what are NaN values. NaN stands for not a number. It's just a placeholder to indicate the absence of some value. You can consider it very similar to none or zero. Just that none is of string data type, zero is of integer data type, but none doesn't have a data type associated to it. Now that we know a little about NaN, let's see how to print a NaN value. So when you're using NumPy, firstly you have to import NumPy. So I've imported NumPy as np. Now I'll just print np.nan. So when we run this program, NaN is being printed. Now that we know how to obtain a NaN value, let's try to create an array and then fill it with the NaN values. Let's use the method numpy.full. So array is equal to np.full of. You have to first specify the dimension. So I'll just use 3, 3. So the matrix will be, the array will be of the size 3 star 3, 3 rows and 3 columns. And then see, the first one signifies row, the second one signifies column. Next, we'll give the value that is to be filled, which is np.nan. Now, let's print this array and run the program. So we've got a 3 cross 3 matrix with the value NaN in it. Let's say you need 2 rows and 3 columns. In that case, we'll just give appropriate dimensions, and so you have 2 rows and 3 columns. So that is about this method. Next, let's try to create an array using numpy.fill function. So when you're using numpy.fill function, you have to first create an array which is empty. So I'll use np.empty of, I'll have to give a dimension here. So let's say I want 3 rows and 3 columns. So I'll give 3, 3. Now this gives me an empty array. Let's try running it. So I'll just give print array. So yeah, as you can see, they have given us an empty array with some random values there. Now that the empty array is created, let's try to fill it up with the values. So array dot fill of, what will we fill it with? We'll fill it with NaN values. So array dot fill of np.nan. So you can see that an array with NaN values appears. Now there is another way of doing it, which is using the colon operator. To do that, you just have to create an empty array. So this creates an empty array. Now we use array, and this is nothing but we're using the slicing over here and indicating all the rows and all the columns with this indicator. So here we specify the value has to be np.nan. So when we run this, again we get a 3 cross 3 array here. So this is about the third method. You can also create the arrays and fill it with NaN values using the numpy.repeat method. To do that, let's use np.repeat. It takes 3 parameters. The first parameter is the matrix that is to be multiplied or repeated. So let's consider the matrix is this. Here we have np.nan, which is the value. We are using double two set of square brackets to indicate that it is a two-dimensional array. And let's say it has to have 3 rows and 3 columns. So into 3. So this gives a 3 rows. Okay. And the second parameter tells us how many times this particular array this particular array that you have, how many times this array has to be repeated. For example, I'll say 3 times because it is a 3 cross 3 matrix that we want. And the last parameter, we have to signify the axis in which the elements have to be repeated. So I'll give axis is equal to 1, indicated that columns have to be repeated. So now when I run this, so I get this 3 cross 3 array. Let's say you wanted a 2 cross 3 array which has 2 rows and 3 columns. In that case, you could specify 2 here and 3 here. Now when I run this program, I get a 2 cross 3 matrix with NaN value. Other way of creating the array with NaN values is by using the np.ones method. So to use that, firstly we create an array which is filled with ones of a given dimension. Let's say we want a 3 cross 3 matrix which is filled with 1. We just do this, and here as you can see we have 1 as every element in this array. Now we multiply this with np.nan. So we have nan values here. The other way of doing it is by using a list. So how do we do this with the list? So to do this with the list, we use np array of. So we basically should create a list and then convert it to an array. So to do that, firstly let's create an list np.nan, and let's say we want to create a 3 cross 3 matrix. So we'll say into 3. So this gives 3 columns sort of. Now we repeat this thing 3 times, which should give us rows. So now when I run this program, we have the 3 cross 3 matrix. Let's say you require 2 rows. In that case, you just have to specify 2 here and run your program. So you have 2 rows and 3 columns. So this is the other method of doing this. I hope this has been helpful.